is Brannon House Live. Whether the issue is law, science, economics, history, family, social issues, education, religion, government, or national security, Brannon brings the issues of the day into clear focus through the lens of a Judeo-Christian worldview. And now, here is your host, Brannon House.
Well, good evening, folks. Obviously, I am not Brannon House. I am Pastor Sharam Hadian, and I'm filling in for Brannon tonight on Brannon House Live. Brannon is taking a much-needed quick break, and so it's a privilege and honor to be here filling in for him tonight on Worldview Tube. We have some great guests with us tonight, great topics that we're going to be discussing in talking about the times that we are in, and also making sure that we continue to bring a biblical worldview to our lives. And everything that we look at in the world, we know that it is addressed in God's Word. Again, my name is Pastor Sharam Hadian. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a frequent guest on with Brannon, and also we have a show that we do on this platform that airs on Saturdays and Sundays called Truth Today. Now, before we get into our first guest tonight, a lot of our topic tonight is going to be talking about what is happening in the world in regards to artificial intelligence, to AI, Bible prophecy. We're going to be talking about economics. We're going to be talking about things like how the world is catering to Islam and Islamic law, including what's called Sharia financing. We're going to be talking about that as well with one of our guests tonight, and how we continue to march towards the beast system, globalism, global economy, and total control. By the way, everything that the Bible has said is going to happen. And this is very important to understand because, one, it shows us that indeed we are living in these last days, but two, that God's word is true, God's word is accurate, and that we as Christians, as believers, must be equipped to not go along with and celebrate this system. This is not God's system, but yet it is being implemented rapidly, even under the Trump administration. We're talking about things like the digital platform. We're going to be talking about stablecoin. We're going to be talking about artificial intelligence, the increase of that intelligence, and also how we are succumbing to our enemies by bringing them into this nation, whether it's from China, whether it's from the Arab nations, and how by allowing them to have such influence, we are ultimately succumbing, and we must stand up and make sure that we stand up for righteousness. Now, again, my background, if you don't know who I am originally from Iran. I am a former Muslim, and I became a Christian about 26 and a half years ago. I witnessed the tyranny, the oppression, the overthrow of my birth country as we moved to the United States, as I became a citizen of this nation, and then, of course, 26 plus years ago, by the grace of God, as I became a believer, one of the things that I began to warn America about was about how we are being infiltrated and sabotaged. And sadly, I wish we could say that's not happening, but it's happening on multiple fronts. Now, there are some positive things that are happening as well, and we'll talk about that as well. But I want to go ahead and go right into our first guest tonight because we have a lot to cover, and we're going to be talking about the topic of first AI and how it seems that even under the Trump administration, this movement towards AI is rapidly increasing. It hasn't slowed down. My first guest tonight is our good friend Leo Hohmann, who is not a stranger to Brannon House Live and also not a stranger to him and I being on together. But I brought Leo on tonight because I wanted to talk about a couple of his latest articles on Substack, one dealing with how now Melania Trump is going to be leading the AI charge for our children. That's right. So if you guys can bring on Leo, I'm excited to have Leo on with us tonight. Leo, how are you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, Sharam. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to see you. Great to be together on a different platform here, covering for Brandon tonight. But great, thanks for making the time to be with me tonight. You heard my intro, and I still think, Leo, that so many people are oblivious to what's going on in the world. So many people are oblivious, whether they're either right now they're politically happy or spiritually happy. Actually, maybe a better word is they're either politically kind of in the warm bath, or they're spiritually in a warm bath. You know, they're just having too much fun in the bath and not really paying attention to what is boiling around them. Your article, first article that I want to talk about is First Lady Melania Trump to lead new artificial intelligence program for school children and educators, poised to deliver great value to our careers, families, and communities. What is now going on that now President Trump is having his wife lead this charge? I saw that they just had a meeting, was it today or yesterday, at the White House with Bill Gates. What's the latest there?
Yeah, it was just yesterday evening. You're right. A big technology sponsored White House dinner with featured guests, including, all of the typical villains, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, and many others. And they were promoting this whole idea of artificial intelligence. Once again, this is very, very high priority on the president's agenda. If you'll recall, he kicked off his administration on January 21st, his first full day in office, by inviting these same tech bros to the White House to launch what he called Operation Stargate. Now, how many of us remember that? It seems like quite a while ago now, but it was just the first day of his administration, and he had Larry Ellison there, the CEO of a company called Oracle Software. He had Sam Altman of OpenAI, and another guy, I believe from Japan, a big technology technocrat from Japan and banker, whose name I cannot pronounce, was also there. And they were talking about how they're going to blanket America with what? AI data centers, data collection centers. These things are massive behemoths, typically average about 1 million square feet. Some of them are up to 5 million square feet. They use humongous amounts of water and electric power. We've got, at the time, I thought, okay, they're going to put maybe one in every state on average. Maybe some states would have 2 or 3 and other states might have none. But on average, I was thinking, maybe they'll have around 50 data centers. This is way bigger than I thought at the time. And by the way, it was the figure thrown out on that first day of his administration was $500 billion the Trump administration was going to raise, most of it through private sources, $500 billion to build these new data centers. And it made it sound like maybe most of them would be in Texas. They're all over, Sharon. We have got at least one proposed in the county I live in, Coweta County, Georgia. A neighboring county, Fayette County, already has one, and they're proposing another. Another neighboring county to the south, Fayette is to the east, Troup County, just to the south of us, neighboring county, is talking about building 5 data centers just in that one county. So we are going to have dozens of them if they get their way just in Georgia. Okay. And I've heard of numerous ones being proposed for Tennessee, West Virginia, Mark Zuckerberg. In Tennessee, you've got Elon Musk doing a couple of them in the Memphis area. I think he's already got one up and running. Mark Zuckerberg is building them in Louisiana, among other places. There's a big one proposed in West Virginia. Of course, Texas is being blanketed with them. South Carolina, Alabama, Mississippi, they're all over, Sharam, and they're sucking up enormous amounts of water resources and electricity. People's electric rates for their home provision are going to double, if not triple, over the next 3 or 4, I'd say 3 to 5 years. we're already seeing rising electric rates. Water is going to skyrocket if you're on a city water system. And that's just how it's going to affect us directly, personally. The bigger picture is, what are these data centers going to be used for? When they propose them at the county level, that's hardly even talked about. I can speak from experience. They just talk about, oh, it's going to create X number of jobs. It's going to be wonderful for our community. Yes, it's going to draw a little bit on water, but we can deal with that. Electric, they don't like to talk about. But they don't even mention what the purpose of these things are. It's all for artificial intelligence and to build out the infrastructure of a new system, Stargate, that is going to just explode over the next 2 to 3, 4 years and have artificial intelligence it will enable artificial intelligence to do so much more than it is already currently doing. And as you know, it's already a big force in our society in terms of changes, replacing people's jobs. Bill Gates at the White House yesterday was talking about everybody will have their own personal AI doctor if his vision comes to fruition. It will replace everything as we know it in our current society. There will be no more lawyers. There will be no more doctors. There will be no more school teachers. There will be no more journalists, artists, writers. They will all be largely replaced with artificial intelligence, and we will live in a basically virtual world where we are tracked, traced, and analyzed 24/7 with what amounts to a social credit scoring system. When you combine the digital IDs and the digital programmable stablecoin CBDCs, which will track our spending habits, it's all to develop this basically a AI powered slave state, similar to what we see in China. Now, will this happen under President Trump's watch? I doubt it. But the infrastructure of this is being built out by President Trump. And a future president, a future Congress will allow it to be weaponized against us. Mark that down right now, folks. Yeah. I guarantee this is going to happen, and it's going to be turned against Christians predominantly.
So, Leo, let's break down what the practicality is with regards to that data collection, because that's, I think, the piece that people are not recognizing. Certainly the aspect of what Bill Gates said at the White House, what they're talking about. Again, now they're having Melania spearhead this for children, right? That they want to be able to school children. I saw it in school children. They saw some sort of an agreement with Mattel where they want to be able to bring it in and be able to mix it and merge it, because of course they got to get the hearts and minds of the children. They got to think that AI is cool. Yesterday I wrote an article.
I posted an article about that as well last week, about this deal between OpenAI and the biggest toy maker, Mattel, to infuse artificial intelligence into children's toys. Okay. Wow. The Barbie dolls will be talking to the children through AI. The Ken dolls, the trucks, the this, that, whatever toy Mattel makes. I'm not an expert on what types of toys Mattel makes, but I'm sure. There you go. There's my article.
There's the article.
I was one of the first ones to break that story. Brandon did a piece on it with Patrick Wood last week. And it's all about how AI is going to be getting into the heads of the youngest children. Shahram, we're talking about preschool and age and up.
We're coming up on a commercial. So let me ask you this question. And when we come back from the commercial, I want you to dig in a little bit deeper, because while you wrote an article about the 600,000 Chinese, so we're supposed to be fighting China, but here we're letting more in. I thought we were supposed to be getting rid of all these Chinese military age men and women that came in. So I want to talk about that. But after the break down this data collection. Like, what does it practically look like for the average person who's not paying attention out there, who doesn't understand that not only, of course, they're being tracked, but they're building basically, an individual algorithm on each one of us. They're going to know us better. Isn't that what Yuval Harari said? They're going to know us better than we know ourselves, supposedly, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
That's the key right there.
Right there. So, folks, stay tuned. We're going to go to a break, and when we come back, more with our guest, Leo Hohmann, on the unbelievable times we're living in, folks. The beast system marches on. This is just as the Bible predicted. Stay tuned.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work, try to see a doctor this week, or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Go to worldviewhealthcare.com. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. worldviewhealthcare.com. That's worldviewhealthcare.com.
The emergency kit available at worldviewhealthcare.com. Make sure you don't have to go to urgent care. I got pneumonia. I didn't have to go. I took this last year. Stayed at home, went to bed.
News is moving faster than ever, and so are we. Worldview Tube brings you 24/7 live stream coverage and now real-time alerts when it matters most. Once you have the Worldview Tube app installed, exit the app and navigate your way to Settings. In Settings, locate the tab labeled Notifications. Select the Notifications tab. Scroll down until you locate the Worldview Tube app icon. Select the tab, and here you can turn on and customize your notification experience for the Worldview Tube app. News doesn't wait, and neither should you. Turn on push notifications to stay informed. Every headline as it happens.
All right, folks, thank you for coming back to Brown & House Live tonight, right now, Friday night, as we're bringing you breaking news and what's going on in the world. My name is Pastor Shahram Hady, and I'm filling in for Brandon tonight. Privilege, an honor to be here on the Worldview 2 platform. And we're talking with our first guest, Leo Hohmann. We were talking about artificial intelligence, these data collection centers that are popping up all over the country. Leo, it seems like at times this administration is talking out of both sides of their mouths. It seems like, they're wanting to make America first. They're wanting to, you see some things where RFK Jr. is getting rid of maybe some of the troublemakers at the CDC or in the Health and Human Services. Even I was shocked this week when Trump came out. And now, finally for the first time in 5 years, said, well, we're going to look into Operation Warp Speed after just 2 weeks ago saying it was another beautiful, brilliant thing. But let's go into these data centers first. And then I do want to ask you about that and Peter Thiel in the rest of our time. But break it down practically. What does it mean for you and I sitting in our homes, doing research on our computers, watching things with our children? What does it mean practically? How are these data centers scooping up information?
It all boils down to less control over our lives. People are buying cars now. I mean, let's just break it down, starting with automobiles and how it's affecting that. Remember, Klaus Schwab said you will own nothing and you will be happy. I think the be happy part was a little sarcastic, like, you better be happy or, we'll throw you into the gulag or something like that. But the key part there was he said you will own nothing. And you can see how that is coming to fruition little by little. And if you look just at, say, the cars in particular, they're moving towards what they call ride share agreements, where It's different from a lease where you sign a lease up front and you have full control over that vehicle as if you owned it for the next 3, 4, or 5 years, however the duration of your lease is. This is not what the ride sharing agreements are. You will have no ownership position in the car for any time. You will simply sign a little agreement to ride it that day for this particular 1 or 2 trips, and then you'll return it. But even if you do so-called own your car, do you really own it? And I'm going to explain that now. The newer cars are coming with all sorts of surveillance cameras. The average car of 2025 has like over 15 cameras, including the main one in the dash, watching everything you do while you're driving or in that, even when you're not driving, when you're in that car. And certain features of the car now, you're having to pay a monthly subscription to unlock them. Like if you want certain, it started with, certain radio functions, Sirius radio and all of that. But now it's basic functions like, say, this Mercedes-Benz comes with standard 300 horsepower on the engine. Well, you may only get 220 horsepower on the engine unless you pay a monthly subscription of $50 or $100 a month, whatever, to unlock the extra 80 horsepower. Okay. This is not a joke. This is where the automobile industry is moving. So while you may hold title to that vehicle, do you really own it if the maker is charging you an extra $50 a month to unlock the full features of it? So see, they're adding to their revenue stream by charging you for basic functions of their product. And it's going to be this way with everything. Appliances, homes, smart homes, will have all these different features that you have to pay monthly for. Go right on down the line. So yeah, the algorithms, at the same time they're charging you and profiting off of your data, they're also logging and tracking all of your data, okay, which can be used against you. What did you say on social media on X date? And is that harmful to the greater community? During COVID, we got a taste of that, right? Where if you spoke the truth about masks or vaccines, you had your account frozen, or you had warnings put up on your posts. So people who read them thought it was, fake news. This is how the algorithms are going to, number one, nickel and dime you and make us poorer because we'll have to pay for everything that we once took for granted. And number two, control you in your day-to-day lives.
Is there a way, Leo, I mean, ultimately, it doesn't seem like there's a way that we're going to be out of this, right? Meaning that this is exactly where the world is going, just as the Bible has predicted that this is where the world is going, a total surveillance system, total control. So really, there is no, quote, hiding. So maybe the solution is we're just going to have to be bold and louder and stronger in our determination, whatever time we have left to speak the truth, to warn about these things. But again, I go back to what I said at the beginning.
Guard your children, I would say.
Yes.
You hit the nail on the head when you quoted Yuval Harari saying AI will know you better than you know yourself. Well, let's put that into context with the Mattel toy AI deal, where OpenAI will be putting its software program into your children's toys. Yuval Harari said that if he had had artificial intelligence and all these algorithms back when he was young, he's a homosexual. But he said that he wished he had had AI when he was a young child because he would have known at a much younger age that he was homosexual. He wouldn't have had to wait till he was 18 or 19 years old to find out. AI would have already used its algorithmic control system to evaluate his characteristics, his reactions, different reactions to things, and would have been able to tell him at maybe 10 or 11 years old that, okay, you're gay, as opposed to waiting to 18, 19 years old for him to figure it out himself. He actually said this. So think of that in the context of Mattel. Your child is now going to be playing with a toy that will be talking through AI to your child about what your child's values and worldview should be. I could see this being used to tell children at age 5 or 6, you're trans, to question their gender.
Exactly.
You're not really a boy. You're not really a boy. Maybe you should think about being a girl. This has just got endless opportunities for evil to get its nose under the tent with our children at a very young age. And now you've got Melania Trump promoting it towards children, telling the school systems that they need to all go all in and adopt this and promote it among our children.
But Leo, I was telling someone about this yesterday, and they said, well, it's inevitable because China is leading the way. So if we want to, keep up with China and their control globally, the United States has to be the leader. Now, again, not that as Christians, from our worldview, we should never be for this. I've said this so many times, and you and I have talked about this, that we should never be promoting or celebrating any of this globalism and any of this movement towards surveillance, digital currency, digital ID, technocracy, but yet it's going to happen. So now
we're not going to stop it. No.
Yeah, exactly. So now what's up with these 600,000 Chinese? Real quick, and then I want to ask you about Peter Thiel.
Yeah, well, 600,000 Chinese students are going to be given visas. President Trump announced that a couple of weeks ago. He later came back and said when he started getting huge backlash from his base and said, well, it's not really 600,000 new Chinese students coming in. It's a continuation of what's already been going on, like under Biden and the rest of them. And so one way or another, we're getting 600,000 Chinese students coming to America, which we know basically that's 600,000 Chinese spies, right? Because in order to be granted that privilege as a Chinese citizen of traveling abroad to the United States, Europe, or wherever, you have to be a model citizen, meaning what? You need a very high social credit score. With all of their digital surveillance over there, they need to be judged a model citizen before they're going to be in high standing with the Chinese Communist Party, basically, before you're going to be allowed to come to America. And so these are the students that we're going to be getting in our universities.
And these are the ones, many of them, who we had identified as military aged. And as you said, well put, that there's no way they're getting on that list unless they're in favor, they're in a good standing with the CCP. And so, again,
the 100,000, that's a whole separate group of characters who came in illegally across the border during Biden's 4-year term.
Right.
We don't know. We don't know who they are or where they are. We have not heard anything about them since Trump took office from his Homeland Security Secretary, Kristi Noem, or anyone else.
Anybody else. Exactly. So this is, again, this is what I'm saying. It's like, it's kind of a double-edged sword. We get certain things that sort of appeal to the base, that appeal to what we were hoping the administration would be, this presidency would be, which would give us a chance for our country to uncouple from the New World Order, from uncouple, or at least buy time. But then it's like just when you kind of get a little excited over here, this dumps on you and you're like, it's like a waterfall. And now you can't, like, you're trying to grab air. You're like, what's going on? So it's, and then, like you said, now Melania, this is really interesting. We got a couple of minutes left. Leo, Peter Thiel. For those who do not know, can you give a synopsis of the influence of Peter Thiel? You got Larry. Who's the BlackRock guy? Larry
Fink.
Larry Fink. Is he not going to be? They're saying he's going to be the co-chair of the World Economic Forum.
Correct.
And then I'm going to be talking later with Patrick Wood on how they're buying up all of the properties in America. And so we're talking about, again, going to a rental. Everyone's going to have to rent. we're not going to be alone. But what can you say about Peter Thiel? And is this really setting up for a Vance 2028 presidency? Is that what this is really about?
We have no way of knowing for sure, but I would say there's a good bet that is the case. Peter Thiel bankrolled J.D. Vance's Senate campaign. J.D. Vance, nobody would even have heard of J.D. Vance were it not for Peter Thiel financing his Senate campaign and then helping the Trump-Vance ticket get elected in the presidential election. He was one of the major donors to that campaign as well. So J.D. Vance owes his entire political career to one Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel, as you know, is a co-founder of the company called Palantir, and Palantir is the one of the largest data gatherers who benefits from these, who will be benefiting from the escalation and expansion of AI in the years to come, with all these data centers being built. They basically they have their hands in everything. Palantir has government contracts with the either has contracts or has them in the works with the CIA, Department of Defense, IRS, Homeland Security, ICE, basically every one of the most active law enforcement and intelligence type, FBI as well, intelligence type government agencies. Palantir is one of their major contractors, feeding them data, not just gathering and feeding them data, but making judgments about the data, analyzing the data, telling the government who their enemies are, potential enemies could be. And basically, they create dossiers on Americans, not just Americans, but others around the world for actionable government use. Very, very dangerous company. So it's all about intelligence gathering and tracking and tracing.
So Leo, we got to go, but really quick, final question that just came to my mind. How intrigued are you that is it not Peter Thiel that is going to be doing a 4-part series on the coming of the Antichrist? Like this, you can't make this stuff up.
No. I mean, I think Peter Thiel has some kind of an Antichrist complex. I don't know, but he's talked about it. He's been talking about it for quite a while. I think he maybe wants to provide an alternative to the Antichrist, but at the same time, he may be actually aiding the Antichrist.
Exactly.
I was unaware of it. Unaware of it.
Exactly. I was just going to say that. How it's amazing how these events end up kind of culminating together in again, going back to, our source of truth, which is the Word of God, that here again, it proves God's word that this is going to happen. And even as somebody who says, yeah, I want to come in and we want to be able to set up good AI. We want to be able to set up, good surveillance or, because this is surveillance to go after the bad guys. But, just a few months ago, you and I were the bad guys, under a different administration.
Exactly.
so now we're supposed to be,
This, you just hit on something there. This is what most conservatives do not see right now, okay? They look at all these things President Trump is doing, and they say, well, that's being used for good. Same with the, bringing the federal troops into the cities. That's going to be cleaning up our cities and getting rid of the crime. Oh, really? That may be the case. But guess what? He's now set a precedent that, he may be using these troops to go after bad guys, people that we see as bad guys, but he's now set the precedent for federal troops in cities in total violation of posse comitatus, so that when the next president, a Democrat, perhaps Gavin Newsom, gets in the White House, it will not be out of place for him to send federal troops into small towns or rural areas and go after Christian conservatives.
Exactly. And ultimately, Leo, because of that court ruling,
people don't think about it. They don't think about it.
Yeah. And ultimately, because of that court ruling, then they had to come, Pam Bondi had to come and actually deputize the Secret Service and deputize the Washington, D.C. Police Department, so that, because they were in violation of posse comitatus until they deputized them. And then I would argue that at that time it became, quote, constitutional, because now you can temporarily deputize, for the purpose of insurrection or for the purpose of invasion. Or
basically, you can declare an emergency.
But before that, they were just willy-nilly doing it. So that was one court case that I actually agreed with, that it was initially unconstitutional just to send them in without them being officially deputized. And then you got to give them a limited authority. But man, it is incredible what's going on, brother. Thank you for your reporting.
I would just say this. I would just leave people with this. Always be wary of government by emergency.
Yes.
When your government is declaring willy-nilly emergencies all over the place for this, that, and the other, and that's what we see going on with the current White House.
Sure.
We saw it under Biden as well. That is always a danger to the U.S. Constitution, because why are they declaring an emergency? So they can bypass the current laws and constitution of the land, the law of the land, to do whatever fulfills their agenda. And while you can argue that President Trump has a good agenda by wanting to clean up the crime and the homelessness and the this and the that and the other, a precedent is now set for the other side to come in and use the same procedures, because we have a precedent for it now, to bring in federal troops to further their agenda. And their agenda, I guarantee you, is going to be evil.
Yeah, well said. Exactly right. It's always a double-edged sword, right? It's always a double-edged sword, and you got to be careful what you get excited about. And ultimately, we got to be careful not to get excited about this movement towards all this digitization and technocracy. Brother, thank you so much for joining me today on short notice. Good to see you again. And folks, leohohmann.com, and also leohohmann.substack, right?
Substack.com.
Where those 3 articles that we just talked about are there. And of course, Leo is...
I'm going to be posting a new article shortly after I get done with this interview, probably this evening, about the whole Bill Gates affair in the White House last night.
Cannot wait to read that. That's exactly what we were talking about. And so, folks, follow that. Brandon, thank you, brother. I appreciate it, Leo. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Thanks, Sharon.
All right, folks, we're going to go to a break, and we're going to come back with Dr. Andy Woods as we talk about Bible prophecy, Israel, the lies that are being spread about the nation of Israel, God's word, dispensationalism, and much more right after the break.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. I want to thank you for all your support at wvwfoundation.com that helps make possible pushing out 24/7 content for free. Without your support, we'd have to put it all behind a paywall. But thanks to you and your support through our foundation, we're able to push it out for free as a broadcast service and broadcast ministry of WVW Foundation. Please consider going there and setting up an automatic monthly contribution, or go there and make an occasional contribution. If you prefer to support us through the mail, you'll find our mailing address there at wvwfoundation.com. You can also call and make your contribution over the phone by calling 901-825-0652. That's 901-825-0652. Again, all these details are available at wvwfoundation.com. Thank you for your support as we try to help people around the world understand the times through the lens of a Christian worldview.
The businessman from Texas that spent years trying to bring the perfect red heifers to Israel is coming to speak in Collierville, Tennessee, outside of Memphis, on Friday night, October 3rd, Saturday, October 4th. They now have sacrificed one of those red heifers. There it is burning. They've now gained 10 gallons of ashes. Why do they need this? Well, the Old Testament, Numbers chapter 19, says that for the purification ceremony, for their temporary tabernacle or full-time temple, they need the ashes of a perfect red heifer. This is the first time this has happened in over 2,000 years. The story is going global. It's highly controversial. In fact, there's even a connection between the attacks on Israel on October 7th and these 5 red heifers. Come and hear him speak live in person, Friday night, October 3rd, Saturday, October 4th. Full details, worldviewstore.com, and to get your tickets, worldviewstore.com, worldviewstore.com.